Today we are going to learn the problems of simple equation. Alright, after this chapter, you will learn how to solve the problem by the method of solving equation. So what is it? For the first one is we want to use the equation to solve the problem. So how can we set up an equation if we given the unknowns to you? For example, one of the examples is Cherry and her friends watch an interesting movie, Magic House of Broad. Alright, and they found that the house of the Broad here has 2 floors. Right, they know that for the first floor it has X rooms, and for the second floor it has 5 rooms. So altogether, these 2 floors altogether have how many rooms? So like we learned in algebraic expressions, you have to add the number of these 2 floors together, the number of rooms on these 2 floors together, which is they are altogether X plus 5 rooms. Don't forget the brackets when you write down the sentence with a unit here, right? They're altogether open brackets like X plus 5 close bracket rooms. Right, this is for the question A. And question B here, if it told you that all together, right, all together, which means that they have to add all together, which means that the rooms on the first floor, right, the first floor, and the rooms on the second floor. Alright, the number of rooms on these 2 floors add together will become 12 rooms. So that according to the question 1a, we know that the equation will be x plus 5 because it's the number of the first floor, and 5 should be the second floor. And all together we have 12. So x plus 5 equals 12. And then you can solve the problem one by one. So how can you solve the problem is, as you see that we have 5 here. You see that we have 5 here, and I want to delete these 5. So what you can do is you can take away from each side by 5. Alright, make sure that if you take away from the left hand side, you have to take away from the right hand side as well. So if you do something with the left hand side, you have to do the same thing with the right hand side. So you have to subtract 5 from each side. And then after you subtract 5 here, plus 5 minus 5 will become 0. So on the left hand side will become x. From your right hand side is 12 minus 5, which is 7 here. So x equals 7. So we know that after we found out the x, alright, the unknown here, after we found out the x, we can answer the question. Because the question asking you how many rooms are there on the first floor. Alright, so you can tell me there are 7 rooms on the first floor, because you know that x is equal to 7. And for the second part, after you finish the calculation, you have to check your answer according to the given information. What does it mean is you have to check your answer according to the information that you get from the question 1a and b. Alright, so you have to check it. You know that there are 7 rooms on the first floor and 5 rooms on the second floor. So you add these 2 numbers together. Alright, and you find that the sum of these 2 is 12. Alright, the 12, you saw that these 2 rooms or these 2 floors altogether have 12 rooms, and which is matched with the information given before. And then you will know that you get the correct answer because the number here, they are the same. Alright, this is how. Alright, sometimes you may want to use the equation for you to solve the problem. So when you're using the equation to solve your problem, don't forget to set in the unknown if you can't find any unknown from the question. So what does it mean by these questions? As you know that there's a rectangular garden, so the gardens here, the length is unknown because it's asking you the length. And the width is 15 meter. It tells you 15 meter. And the area is 240 meters square for the area. And you have to find the length of the gardens. So if you didn't want to use the equation, you may use the formula that you learned before. It should be 240 divided by 15, and it becomes 16. So the length is 16 meter, right? You can do it like this. But if you want to use the equation for you to calculate the length of the garden, so what you can do is you have to set the unknowns when you're using the equation. So for the first one, you can think of when we calculating the area of the rectangle, it will be the length times width, which is, I don't know what is the length, so I'm put the question mark here, and then times width equal 240 m square. But the question mark here, you have to set the unknown to represent what is the length. So for the first one, you have to let y m be the length of the garden. You see that the length of the garden is meter, so you have to let ym. M is the unit, y is the unknown. Right? You have to write down the unit when you're letting the unknown. Let ym be the length of the garden. So the next part is you can write it down like this because it should be the length times width. So which means that the length is y, and then time width is 15 equals 240 m squared. And you simplify your answer, so y times 15 will become 15y and then equal to 240. So what is the next step is you have to take away the 15 from each side. You see that we use time 15 here. So when you want to take away from each side, you have to use the divided. The division here is 15y divided by 15 equal 214 divided by 15. Don't forget it, if you divide it by 15 from the left hand side, you have to do the same thing with the right hand side, divided by 15. So you can simplify your answer. Alright. Simplify your answer and then you can get the final answer, y is equal to 16. After you get the y equal to 16, you still have to write down the last statement. Alright, because you know that y is equal to 16, y is the length of the garden. So you have to write down the length of the garden is 16 meter. Alright, don't forget to write down the last statement. So for the equation with the unknown, you have to do the two things. So one is write down the first statement, let the unknown be the length of the gardens. And the second one is don't forget the last statement. You still have to write down the last statement. The length of the garden is 16 meter. Right. So don't forget you have to keep these two statements when you write down the equation, when you use the equation to answer the question. Alright, these three dots represents therefore, so you can write down three dots here or you can skip it. It doesn't matter, right, for this part. So after you finish the calculation, you still have to check your answer. So how can you check the answer is, I know that the garden is 16 meter long, and I know that the width is 15 meter. Then from the question, right, the length is you get it from your answer. and then you times these two together, and you find out the answer is 240, which is the same with the given information from the question. So you know that the area is 240. These two are the same, so you get the answer correctly. Alright, make sure that you check it after you finish the calculation. Alright, there's one more example on how to set the unknowns. So first of all, you have to know that which one you have to set the unknown. The unknown should be come from the question. For example, this one is asking you how many apples. How many apples did mom buy? So it's asking you how many apples. So if you want to set the equation, you have to set the equation for the number of the apple. Alright, which means that you have to let, for example, you have to let x be the number of the apple mom buys. Right? So you have to set this one first because it's come from the question. And the second one, you have to take a look on the information. It's asking you there are a number of apple. You don't know what number it is, but you know that there are 4 orange. And it's telling you that the difference between them is 6. Alright. So it didn't tell you that which kinds of the fruit is more, right? It didn't tell you. So how can you set the equation? Maybe you can set it by x minus 4 equals 6. Alright, you may set it like this. Why you can put the apple at first and the orange at minus 4? Why you can put it like this is if you put the number. Alright, if you put the number 4 at first, because difference between the number of apple and orange should be one number minus another one. If you write that is 4 minus x, it won't become 6. Alright, because 4 minus x, which is the number should be smaller than 4, so it won't be x, so you can't set the equation like this. Then you have to put the number of apple at first, which is x minus 4 equals 6. And then you add F4 in each side. Alright, x plus minus 4 plus 4 equals 6 plus 4. Because you do the thing that on the right hand side should be do the same things to the left hand side, you have to do the same things to the right hand side. So which is x plus minus 4 plus 4 equals 6 plus 4. And the answer x will become 10. And don't forget the last statement that mom buys 10 apples. Alright, that's the end of today's lesson. So see you in the next lesson. Bye.